bringing you the latest news from Monterey Athletics. This is the Plainsman Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back in. I believe that's the Monterey fight song I heard going, so that tells me we're in the Plainsman Fan Zone. You guys, you have to bear with me. I'm a little rusty on Monday nights because basketball's taken me away for a few weeks.
Sure.
I thought your girls might still be playing this week. They lost to...
Yeah, I know they hit a buzzard beater to take it to OT, and then I guess it just kind of got away from them, I guess.
Ambrosia Cole's like should be like a closer in baseball.
Yeah.
You'd stick her out there when the game's on the line, say, just finish it for me, and she'd take care of business.
I may ask her. I mean,
hey,
I'm not opposed to that.
You may have to wrestle it away from the track coach. A few years ago, very famously, they had just gotten, I'm trying to think who, their season ended a little bit earlier. I think maybe they lost in the third round that year.
Cooper.
She showed up at track like that day maybe that Thursday for a meet, and set the school record in one of the hurdles.
Yep.
And I think it was Chris that was like, yeah, okay, you don't need to work out, just show up and run. So
she's an athlete for sure.
Yes, she is. Well, you guys have a few of those. You have a few in baseball, and
yes.
You have a few, let me say this, maybe a few more in baseball than a few that have ripened on the vine a little bit since last year. Last year was no fun. We already talked about that once a few weeks ago. We're going to leave it right there. I think you guys have already won more games now.
We're close.
We're getting close.
We're 2 wins away from last year.
There you go. Right now, Monterey is sitting at 4-5-1. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
And they're, again, one of the hosts of the UMB Classic. Ralph, I checked with him. He didn't play in it as a player, but how many you've coached in this thing now for? This
is going to be my 13th year.
Yep.
A part of the UMB Classic, and it's always good to this tournament's always fun. For our kids, because we're at Magle Field,
right
in front of our fans and our student section, and it's just a good atmosphere, especially at our place. Just good to be home finally. Hotel rooms for the past 2 weeks.
Right.
Driving all over El Paso, driving all over Midland, and finally getting to make the short trip to Magle and get in front of our people and show them what we got. I'm excited. And
that's, I forgot to mention that. Now, Estacado and Marcianas had a few games at home already, but for the 5A schools and for Friendship, I believe these will be your first home games all season.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And like I said, there's nothing like playing at home. It's not as we're not curious about facilities. Where can we hit and where the restrooms are and what dugouts are we going to be in. We know exactly what's going on. We know exactly where we're going to be, and we're like I said, we're just excited to be at home.
Introduce who you brought with me here.
Brought senior Lincoln Lamb. He's been a varsity member for 3 years now. This kid is the epitome of what we talk about of just being resilient and tough. And this kid has been through it all, and he got in the lineup. He broke his hamate bone this fall, right before the season. He got released a couple of weeks ago, and got released this past week, and he stepped right into the lineup, and he goes 2 for 2 against El Paso El Dorado with 2 doubles, and he definitely made an impact. And when he wasn't in the lineup, it definitely showed. Like I said, very excited about this kid because it's the spotlight's going to be on him, and he's ready for it. Just the way he goes about his business is very inspiring. Not just to me, but to our team as well.
And Lincoln, you missed most of last year with injuries, like plural, right? It wasn't just one thing. I told him, Ralph, I saw him play maybe 2 innings. And I think he got dinged again.
Yeah, so just I've basically been on the shelf for the past 2 years. I used to play football. I got put on the shelf in spring football. I broke my foot my sophomore year. And then last year I had like a reoccurring knee injury that it just wouldn't heal. So that finally took me out and I was like, all right, let's go fix it so we can come back this year and just leave it all out on the field.
This is a bigger young man than you usually have. He looks like a football player.
This guy and our QB1 in the fall are usually the first 2 off the bus.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good plan.
Kind of make a little bit of an impression. So
go ahead and throw his name out there. I had somebody actually text me and ask me about him today.
Yeah, Jonah Reed. He's pitched for us this year. He plays some third. He can play some first. He's definitely made the jump from 3A baseball to 5A baseball in a hurry, and he's done some good things for us on the mound, at the plate, and at third. looking forward to seeing what he can help us do this year, and along with other kids, because we have a lot of new faces and a lot of competitive faces too. So we're excited about those guys.
Lincoln, what positions do you play?
So, I mean, I like to call myself a utility player, but usually I just do what the team needs. And as of right now, it's probably first base, third base, or occasionally shortstop if we need to fill that position.
But
it
sounds like a utility guy to me.
Yeah. He also pitches.
There we go.
Oh, I do pitch, yeah.
And you need, Mark was talking about that. You're coming off of tournaments and you need every pitcher you can have this weekend as you get ready for district. Coming up on our first break, we'll talk more Plainsman baseball and the UMB Classic when we come back on the High School Fan Zone after this on 100.7 The Score.
Diving headfirst into Monterey athletics. You're listening to the Plainsman Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back in. I am Randy Rosetta. This is the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. We're talking about the UMB Bank Classic, which has been renamed a few times. It used to be the Seagrass Classic, used to be the First Bank Classic. Still the same tournament. Baseball games all over town, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I'm counting real quick here. I think it's 6 or 7 venues per day. Mago Field will be quiet the first day.
Yes, sir.
But then, because you guys start out Friday or Thursday, you go over to Wilforth, you take on Friendship at 1 p.m., play El Paso El Dorado at 4, and then you get to rest up because then on Friday, you do get to play at home against El Paso Americas, which is always one of the good teams from El Paso that comes up here. I think they've lost a game in this tournament in the last couple of years.
I don't know. I know we've played them 2 years in a row. This will be our second year. And it seems like we play them all the time. And I know we haven't, but Coach Munoz at Americas does a fantastic job with those guys. And they're very competitive. We've already seen them once. We saw them in the El Paso tournament.
There you go.
And their 3-hole was – he was 3 for 3 with 2 jacks. One was a grand slam. He had 5 of their 10. And they just beat us up a little bit.
Well, now you get to play them again. And that day at Mago Field is going to be fun because then El Paso Americas plays Liberty, and you guys play Liberty.
Right.
So that's a good. I believe that's the day I'll probably be basketballing one more time, at least one more time until next week. And then Saturday you come back and you've got 2 games at your place, and they're both you're playing Lakeview and then Memorial. Coach Roberson just walked in.
Yes, sir.
And you've played against his teams that he's been Chad's right-hand man for years. So
yes.
You know they're going to be prepared and they're going to pitch well and they're going to do a lot of good things. And the thing about Memorials, they're going to be young and they're going to want to come out and beat every team that's from Lubbock that they possibly can. So that's a good way for your guys to finish up the weekend.
Absolutely. Kind of pegged this week. We were looking through the bracket and obviously into district play. This is going to tell us a lot about who's the best in Lubbock because we're playing everybody. We're playing all of them, with the exception of Estacado, of course, and the private schools. But your 5As and right for now 6A Friendship, we play all of them. So I said there's a golden opportunity for you to put yourself. Like I'm not saying it's not. Monterey Baseball's always been on the Lubbock map, but you want to make a name for yourself. Let's beat all the Lubbock area schools, but obviously you can't do that unless you win the first one on Thursday, against Friendship.
Yeah, Lincoln, the Coronado guys came in, and I think I did talk to them on a Wednesday, and we talked a little bit about the way the tournament's set up. You guys, because you kind of go to similar tournaments. Coronado was at the Midland tournament this weekend.
Yes, sir.
You go and you play somebody. For you guys, you went to El Paso, played some teams that you may see down the road, guys you don't necessarily know. You go to Midland, see some teams you know but a little bit better, guys you may know. But then you get on this third weekend. As a guy who's played against these guys for years and years, does that get you readier for district play to start to see guys you know and kind of styles you know?
So definitely, you definitely take sort of like the facade that you've grown up with, into the weekend because it's I've owned this guy my whole life. I don't even have to worry about him. So it's just taking that confidence into the weekend and into district because you've seen these guys before. It's just it's encouraging and it's definitely a confidence builder going into district against Coronado and Lubbock High and Plainview and all them.
Because what was it last year that Brad Bibb called it? The Tim Haynes rule is still in effect in your district where you play everybody back to back instead of Coronado having to see Tim Haynes 3 times, which, hey, I don't blame Brad Bibb at all for that.
That'd be tough.
That's not fair it's just the way it worked out.
Yep.
So you went through that last year, Ralph. This tournament, how does it start to get you ready for what you're going to see, where you see those teams back to back and kind of start that grind?
It's that's what I like about, when we start our week 1 tournaments, we always say we're playing, that's why I like to play the long scrimmages. Because in tournaments, you're playing 2 games a day. You're playing 14 innings. Right. So that's why we play those long those long scrimmages. That's why we play the doubleheaders and scrimmages, just to prepare you for the grind of high school baseball. And then you get to the 3rd week tournament, you're gonna face somebody that is pretty dang good. And our schedule is full of them. And that does wonders for us, just to compete and see what good baseball looks like, and to prepare you into another juggernaut of a district, big district, and
getting bigger.
100%. It'll be bigger the next year, but just to prepare the right way, and I'm not nothing against those smaller tournaments, but you're not going to get much out of that. And if you're playing in smaller tournaments and stuff like that. So you want to play the best to build that mentality of competitiveness and fighting through and pushing through. And that's what I love about baseball. It's the equal playing level playing field for everybody. It's not always the biggest guys that win. It's the guys that are compete, that are teams that are together as a team and just compete the hardest. So that's what that does for us this week.
And you heard what I asked Lincoln there. This is a week you don't have to get your guys' juices flowing. They're going to
absolutely not.
They know they're going to see some guys they know, and that helps. Not that it's just a little bit easier to get a guy up earlier in the morning instead of being in El Paso and have to knock on his door and get him ready for a game.
Yeah, we've been blessed with a really good list of teams this weekend. This guy's played with a bunch of guys that we're going to play against Friendship, with Liberty. A lot of these guys know each other, and that just raises the stakes a little more, just kind of bragging rights for the year.
Because we're coming up on what should be a really, really good year in Lubbock for baseball. Once we get to late April, I guess, starting to get into May, there's going to be some teams that are still playing for a while.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited about it.
You guys, what do we say, 4-5-1? So you've kind of been through the grind already. Get into this. You play 5. Did I count that right? 5
we play
or
6.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll play 6.
Okay, so you better have some arms ready to go.
And we do, and that was a thing for me this year. I was like, I wanted to get one more in before we head into a big week next week against Coronado and Coach Bibb and all those guys. They do a fantastic job over there. He gets those guys playing, and this week there's nothing better than this week to get us ready for that.
And because you'll see young Mr. Harden right off the bat.
100%.
One of those 2 games. Yeah. Because that's been a lot of good pitchers in Lubbock the last several years, and he's starting to climb up into that discussion already. Is he a junior?
Yes.
And so you get to see him for the next few years. So you get a few more grades.
Absolutely.
So that's going to wrap us up on the Plainsman Fan Zone. I'll probably see these guys, I would guess, Thursday. I always enjoy watching Monterey and Friendship play in anything, but baseball's a little bit of juice to that one. So we'll be back after this break in the Panther Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.